Okay. Well, are the Rockets done is the question. Skip Bayless is for you.
Ryan T. Clark. Obviously, it does not look good right now. But at this moment, I am not yet ready to shovel dirt on the Houston Rockets. Not after what I saw in the first two games, in which Portland's best player was shockingly hot and Houston's best player was shockingly cold. And I'm going to suggest that that could reverse itself in Game 3 in Portland. It had better reverse itself, or this will be over if they go down 3-0, obviously. Right. I want to keep this in perspective. LaMarcus Aldridge, by the way, from Dallas, Texas, averaged for this season 23.2 points per game. In Game 1, he scored 46 at Houston, and last night he scored 43 at Houston. Is it a Texas thing? I don't know what gets into him, but last night, the Rockets actually did a good job of pushing him outside the paint. He scored 24 of the 46 in the paint in Game 1. Last night, he only scored 10 in the paint. But what did he do? He made 13 of 19 mid-range jump shots. You play a little hoops, that's pretty crazy hot stuff.
Oh, no, that's tough.
Okay? That's like you say on the playground, that's too good. You know, like too good. Okay, so I saw in the second half, Houston did run a second defender at LaMarcus Aldridge. And most of the time, the second defender didn't get there before he rose up over Ashik and drained another one. And I mean, they were sweet. They were nothing but net shots. He's shooting that high arcing jumper, and it looks like every time it leaves his hand, he thinks it's going in. I got to the point I was surprised when the ball didn't go in the hole. Now, meanwhile, my man James Harden, who I have lauded on this show as being the best closer in basketball, in the two games combined, went 14 for 47, 29.8%. Obviously, that's way too many empty trips for the guy who runs the show for the Houston Rockets. And I can't tell you last night how disappointed I was in James Harden. They're going to go as he goes, and he went south in both games late. Last night, Dwight, I don't know if you got to stay up and watch all this. Unfortunately, I did. Which is why I'm reeling here. But the point was, late in that game, 35 seconds left, Dwight Howard shocked me by making 2 clutch free throws. It cut the lead to 4. And Portland inbounds the ball and goes right down the floor, and nobody guarded Wes Matthews. He got a little bunny layup. I'm not sure about this, and I couldn't find it in the game stories. I think it was James Harden's man. And James was so frustrated on the ensuing inbounds pass that he threw down Wesley Matthews, and it was an obvious offensive foul, frustration foul, and that was basically the end of the game. It switched right there. So my point is, do you really think that James Harden will play that poorly in Game 3? I do not. Do you think that LaMarcus will he make 13 and 19 in Game 3? I'm sorry, I do not. So I'm going to sit here and say I still give the Rockets a shot to win Game 3 in Portland.
I think it's about how you look at it. Do I think they can win Game 3? I do. I think they can make a series out of it. But with Portland going up 2-0, I feel like Portland's going to win the series.
Okay.
If you look at the game we talked about last night, is LaMarcus Aldridge going to average 44.5 points for the rest of this series? I've never seen it done. If he does,
it'll be a sweep.
That's going to be special.
Sure.
And also last night, they pushed him away from the goal. He was shooting these high-arcing rainbows that were falling. But if you watch late in the game when he was taking some of those difficult shots, he began to miss.
He missed a few.
Yeah, he missed a few of them. And you also look down the stretch, James Harden hits a big 3. He
did hit one
He hit a big 3. He also has a good drive. But then he comes down, he turns the ball over, and inexplicably, I don't know if he's just disinterested in the game when Wesley Matthews gets a layup, which maybe he probably shouldn't have shot. Maybe he could have pulled the ball out.
Oh, just to run the time.
And just run some more time.
I know, but it was such a psychological killer because you cut it to 4 from 6, and then you just give him a right back. You just give him the 2 with 30 seconds left. I agree. I would have gone ahead and shot the shot. But
looking at it, I feel like Houston can go in and win a game in Portland, but they won't win both. It's a tough place to play. They play extremely well there. And if you look, also last night, Lillard didn't have an amazing game. No. Game 1, he played extremely well, went for 31 points, and that was a big reason why they were able to come back.
Yep.
But right now, Houston doesn't have an identity. When you play the way they play during the regular season, you jack up 3-pointers, you're kind of run and gun. Games slow down in the playoffs. Fouls are called differently in the playoffs. And so now you're looking at Dwight Howard. He's saying, I want the ball. And in the first quarter, he gives you 19 points.
He did.
But down the stretch, sometimes you're going to be scared to go to him, even though last night he made 2 big free throws. I think he was 5 for 6 for the game. So he did what he had to do. You're not going to expect that from him every night. And he's also, to me, not a guy you can go to game after game in the post to get you big buckets. They need to get Harden. I feel like you need to get Harden and Parsons established earlier in the game and let Dwight get his plays off of hustle, off of rebounds, things like that.
Thank you for saying that. You used the word identity. I'm going to put another word after it. Crisis. Identity crisis they're facing. Dwight demanded the ball on the off day. Give me more touches. So in the first half, he gets 17 shots up, as you point out. He made 11 in the first half, 11 out of 17. What was the halftime score? It was tied. So, again, you'd say, okay, Dwight, if we're going to give you the ball, does that mean we'll be up 15 at halftime? No, it did not, because the identity of this basketball team all year was they put up the most three-point shots in the NBA. They put up 35 in game 1, and they had shots late. My guy James Harden had shots late in both regulation and overtime to win game 1. What happened last night? Because they were so Dwight conscious, through 3 quarters last night, they only put up 9 3-pointers. They wound up with 16 for the game. They went 3 for 16 on 3-point shots. In game 1, they made 8 out of 35. So they are now shooting 22% from 3. Well, they live and die, man. I mean, we're going to talk about my Spurs. They're the same live and die on the 3, but so do these guys. Well, last night they didn't even put up that many only 16 threes, really?
If that's who you are, though, if you live and die by the 3, I feel like that's the way you have to play. You can't change the game because one guy says, you know what, I need the ball. This is what's got us here throughout the year. Let's continue doing it. And if we lose, let's lose being us.
Right. I agree.